What's up, everybody? This is the Wednesday edition of the Daily Fantasy NBA Show, sponsored by the wonderful folks there at DraftDayT.com. This song is called Hunter. Wow, by Pharrell. I really like it. Duck Dynasty is cool and all. Anyways. That was, I thought, would be a good intro for today's show on the Wednesday. Drew Dinkmeyer is in sunny Florida vacationing with matching swim trunks with Mike Leone. So they are on spring break this week. Glad, though, that with Scott, I have Dan Wahoo. And Dan, this is the first time that you have really been paired with Scott. I think there's a lot of nerdiness as far as Daily Fantasy NBA going on in the show today between the two of you. So thanks for joining us. As far as today's storylines, Dan, what are you kind of seeing out there?
What kind of news are we waiting on here today? I haven't had a huge chance to catch up here.
Well,
I think one thing that for news-wise, I mean, you got to keep your eye on Nelson, I guess. If Oladipo's a full go without Nelson, I kind of like him in his spot. But I don't know if there's too much news that we're waiting on here. I think a lot of things are pretty much out right now that I've seen. Scott, are you waiting for anything big?
Yeah, nothing big really. I mean, I'm interested to see what Iguodala's status is, because that would kind of change my view of a couple of the Celtics guys. And, I mean, maybe I consider using, like, Barnes or someone. Martell Webster for the Wizards is kind of interesting to me, because they can definitely play small a ton with him if he's healthy against the Jazz, with them playing Marvin Williams at power forward. So I would guess that he gets 30 minutes tonight if he's anywhere close to 100% and playing. He's pretty cheap everywhere. You mentioned Nelson already.
I think the
Millsap was already ruled out. So
yeah, I think the big storyline is that there's not a whole lot of news out there. That for such a big slate of games, it doesn't seem like we're waiting on too much as far as big injury news, which is good if like you're already making teams. That is something that you're definitely seeing. The Martell Webster comment is definitely interesting because I don't know, he hasn't even been on my radar today and looking at some of the matchups, but going small, getting 30 minutes. Let's just start with this game and talk about Davis wrote up John Wall as an expensive point guard play. Do you think that he might be too expensive?
I have John Wall as one of my 3 locks tonight. I just posted day before tomorrow, and I mean, he's in there. He's just been so good lately, and I mean, the Jazz are just really, really bad on defense, especially Trey Burke right now. I mean, I can't say I love his price, but I don't think he's too expensive. I think he's priced correctly is really what it is.
Let's see. Your thoughts on Walt? Really, this whole Washington squad against Utah, Dan?
I think it's a weird game. I don't know why I'm not looking at Wall a lot tonight. I think that's going to be kind of an ugly game. I mean, the way that I'm looking at my rosters tonight, I'm finding myself spending kind of more even keel than stars and scrubs. I know Wall's around 9K, but I'm not eyeing too many guys in this game. I think it's a low over/under, as Scott mentioned. And Jazz have been playing really ugly, and the Wizards always kind of have. I consider them the kind of team that just always either plays way above or way below to their competition. If they're playing like the 76ers, are the kind of team that they're going to be playing all game long and have a fun time getting up shots. And they're the kind of team that can play with the Jazz and kind of blow them out of the water at the same time. It's just kind of a scary game to me. I don't know why.
Yeah, you all anytime that I'm thinking about Brad Beal, I get a little scared when I think about putting him in my lineups. I think the safest option, even if they do play small, Trevor Booker hasn't been like great, but after those first few games where he stunk it up, like he has been providing value for what his price tag is on most sites. So Booker is in play, Beal is in play, Wall. It just depends on how the positional value.
Scott, so who do you prefer tonight? A Wall at 9K or like a Lawson, I guess, at 82?
I would play Wall personally. If I'm gonna go cheaper than Wall, like I assume you're talking about FanDuel. Like I think the three guys I was looking at were Rubio, Teague, and there's someone else that I had locked in. Oh, Rondo is a guy that I like a lot tonight. Those are the three guys that if I'm not taking Wall, I'm probably going cheaper with. I also like Jared Bayless quite a bit on FanDuel for I think he's 41 or 4,200. Unfortunately, he's a point guard, but
I think we'll get to the Boston game in a second. I agree with David. I think Booker is definitely in play tonight. I mean, Seraphin out already, Nene done for the season. I don't know how many minutes Harrington can handle, and I don't think that they're comfortable rolling out Gooden for that many more minutes either. So Booker, I think, is going to be locked in for around 30 minutes or so.
I would really pay attention to Webster if you guys are thinking about using Booker, because just go back and look at his minutes in the games Webster was playing after Nene got hurt. He was in the high 20s. He played 38 last game because they needed him to play against Zach Randolph. I don't think that they can use Chris Singleton as much to go small as they can with Webster. They just obviously trust Webster a lot more. But if Webster's out, I agree that Booker's a pretty safe minimum play.
I like Webster a lot. I mean, I actually used to play with him out in LA all the time, and I'm surprised he's not putting up bigger numbers this year because he's really talented. He can score pretty easily, so I'm surprised that they're not giving him more minutes as it is.
Dan, your connection is kind of cutting out, but I want to make sure you played with Webster in LA. Is that what you said?
Yeah, he would. I went to Loyola Marymount. That's kind of a lot of players kind of do their workouts out there.
Oh, very nice. Is Loyola Marymount are they like in the St. Mary's Conference?
They are, yeah, West Coast Conference.
Wow. And you're talking about like you didn't really play for them as a college player. You're more like rec.
Webster. So LMU would have. I mean, they have several gyms, but a lot of times the pro guys would come and run in kind of with a pickup there, and they'd obviously have their own workouts with their trainers and things like that. And a lot of them are good guys. They want to get in runs with other guys, so it's a lot of fun.
Very nice. For those of you that do not know, I used to play with CJ Watson, as long as her name dropping here. And we thought that at the time, among the Tennessee signings, that he was like the third best one. He's the one that actually made it to the NBA. Anyways. Enough about me. Let's talk about Brad Beal. Davis said that he's not my super sexy play of the day, ? No, he's not the super sexy play of the day, but I think on where you're locked into a shooting guard, you have to take a look at him tonight other than Booker. Now, Scott's Webster's comment, I'm not going to lie. It's kind of freaking me out right now. So I actually just checked the rapid fire to see if Booker was an option, because it's like one of the sneaky things that Scott would do is put Booker as an option where it looks like he's the big favorite, and Scott knowing that Webster was going to get most of Booker's minutes. But Booker is not in the pick 5 rapid fire there at draft day. So no booby trap just yet, but that just seemed like something that you were going to do, Scott.
Yeah, I haven't seen any like really solid news on Webster yet. So like I said, I like Booker a lot more if Webster's not playing because they just don't trust Chris Singleton or Otto Porter to fill that role that Webster's been playing.
Eberhardt N said that he played with Chris Middleton. Chris Middleton is actually in the rapid fire going up against Gary
Yeah,
Neal.
so I kind of thought that.
Go ahead, Dan. Dan, I think you are on a delayed connection. You're like it's weird having Scott be the one that is the most reliable connection on the show. So hopefully Dan can connect back. Scott, let's talk about Gary Neal, though. I mean, is he a thing tonight going up against Indy? Like, gross. That's all I have to say about Gary Neal.
Yeah, I mean that's everything I've written about him today. And when people keep asking, I mean, like I hate using the word punt play, but he's like the definition of a punt play if there ever was one. Like you're gonna hope you get like 20 and he gets a little hot or something. Otherwise, I mean, there's a very good chance you get like 11 fantasy points out of him.
Yeah, definitely, especially on efficiency sites. He's only 5,700 there at draft day, which is interesting. You also priced Kemba Walker under 11K there. Thanks for that. You just love to kind of tease people and throw out and see how much people are willing to avoid somebody. So, yeah. As far as Gary Neal, like, I just don't think you can trust him tonight. Even with where his price tag is, I think I'd probably rather go safer. I've been doing a lot better in cash games across the industry with just going with the motto, better safe than sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I did that last night. Like, I played Jordan Hamilton in a bunch of lineups as like a cheap guy to get like Anthony Davis in and stuff, and like that worked out okay. But like my lineups where I went Eric Gordon over as my cheapest guy and didn't go with as much top end talent was just so much better. Obviously, because Eric Gordon went off, but
yeah. And something that we've talked about before is that you want people that are getting the you want people that you know are going to get the minutes in and going to get the production. So
that's like it's like an underrated difference between taking like a min guy. Like there's almost no chance Hamilton was getting me more than like 25 fantasy points. And obviously we saw what Eric Gordon can do. And it kind of illustrates the difference between just like throwing away a position basically.
Oh, man. So this Jameer Nelson thing, obviously Aflalo is active tonight, and you've got Jameer who is questionable. If Jameer is out, are you going to get sucked into Oladipo again like I did the other night?
I got sucked into him that night too, but that was more like a Philly thing. I mean, could anyone really not get sucked into that?
It's true.
I personally like Aflalo a lot more if Nelson is out tonight than I do Oladipo. The Rockets are weaker on the wings than they are against point guards. Aflalo's price is cheaper pretty much everywhere because he's been out. You got to assume he's pretty close to 100% if they've been holding him out this long and they just like Otto announced he was back today. So I think he's the better play there.
For where the games have been for the Magic, this game only a 6.5 point spread. Now you do have the Rockets playing on the road on a back-to-back, so I understand. But there is supposed to be a lot of points being scored in this game. You also have the Dwight Howard revenge factor. Dwight Howard, I think last time had people were talking about his past performance, but it was without Vooch there in the paint. You had Dwight on basically a game time decision. Did have a fairly good game last night as far as stats wise, but on a back to back with a back issue, and where his price tag is, I don't think that there's any place where I'm really comfortable with rostering him in a cash game. I'd much rather have DeMarcus Cousins tonight, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're just in a lot better place with either Cousins or paying a little bit more for Love. mean, even Carmelo Anthony feels like a better play to me than Dwight Howard tonight.
Yeah, Melo playing against the Wolves, another high-scoring game. As far as the Rockets go, we talked about yesterday about Patrick Beverley, and he came out. I mean, he's just such a firecracker. Another kind of GPP play if he.
Sorry about that, fellas.
Well, hey, Dan, we're back.
We had a little internet issue, but I'm back.
Yeah, we thought that Napster Man took over your internet because that's kind of what his internet does sometimes. We were just talking about this Rockets Magic game. Going to be fairly close according to Vegas, 6.5. Closer than where people have been putting these Magic games recently. So your thoughts on Dwight Howard and the Magic and really anybody from this Rockets team tonight?
Yeah, I mean, first thing I noticed when I was looking at the games for tomorrow last night, I thought this game would be close. Orlando's had a few days off. Houston's just got off a game with Miami, so they're traveling to the East Coast. And I think a big piece that's coming back for the Magic is Aflalo, and they're so much better when he's available. So I think that this game will definitely have some good fantasy goodness, as we say. So I'm kind of eyeing, especially if Nelson's out, I'm definitely eyeing Aflalo and Oladipo in this game. With Howard, he's definitely one of the three that I was looking at center today, but I think at the price I would likely prefer Cousins.
Yeah, and I think hey, Scott, thanks for joining us.
Dan kicked me off.
I think that, like, we talked about it being sort of a quiet day today as far as news goes, but if, like, Dwight Howard were to sit, then James Harden would be the guy that I would want to target. Like, I'd be comfortable with paying up for Harden's price tag. As it is right now, I don't think I'm that comfortable. Christian Hardy wants to know Butler or Stevenson tonight, Scott?
I mean, that's a price thing for me more than anything. They're pretty similar plays to me. They're both playing a lot of minutes. They both have pretty solid matchups tonight. I prefer Stevenson if they're the same price. I'll say that. If one's significantly cheaper, I'd obviously take that one.
Yeah, I'd agree. You have Butler in your article today as someone who is worth the risk, though, so you do like him.
Yeah, his like fantasy points per minute have been really tailing off with this huge workload, though. But the workload makes him so safe, is the thing. He's like, I think on Sunday against the Knicks, he played the entire game until he got like random rests for like a minute and 10 seconds in the fourth quarter. Then he came right back in. So, I mean, at least you know when you turn the Bulls game on, he's going to be out there.
Yeah, and as far as we talked about Gary Neal, like, S. Beaselton mentions it in the chat. Like, he's probably going to be having to cover Lance Stevenson. Gary Neal is. So
no chance.
No chance.
That's a huge matchup advantage compared to going against Henderson. So
yeah. But to other side of the coin for that question, Scott kind of already said that he prefers Lance, but price wise, I don't know if on FanDuel if he'd go with Butler. But again, at the same time, Singler's an ideal matchup for Butler. And as Scott mentioned, he'll probably be playing 44, 46 minutes too. So they're like in the ideal same situation tonight. They're going to be playing tons of minutes. They got a great matchup on the other end of the court. So I think it's really a price play at that point. Or if you have some hunch that someone has a better matchup or higher over under. I think they're in the same situation today, which is very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, they're both really solid plays, like great cash game plays.
Very nice. As far as Love and Booker or Melo and Ersan, I think that matchup would go to Love and Booker. You talked about the three locks that you have, Scott, and John Wall being one of them. The other two being Kevin Love and DeMarcus Cousins. I'll go ahead and say that DeMarcus burned me bad on Monday. Like, really
Yeah,
bad.
me too.
Really bad. I actually had like a lineup with favors in it that did better than my DeMarcus Cousins lineup. That's how bad Monday was for me. But I
Yeah,
think it's
I had the dreaded LaMarcus Aldridge,
yeah.
DeMarcus Cousins duo that night.
Me too. Me freaking
Yeah,
too.
it seemed beautiful all day. I never even considered taking either one of them out.
It was really bad. But you feel comfortable with DeMarcus tonight?
Yeah, I mean, there's his foul trouble, but at least now he's to the point where, like on Monday, he's going to get you 35 fantasy points even when he gets in foul trouble.
Dan?
So I probably just jinxed it, but
I'm still here. Am I cutting out?
Yeah, no, I'm asking your thoughts on DeMarcus.
See, I mentioned when I was talking about Howard, I got 3 centers I like, and Cousins is on that list. I mean, it's tough not to like Cousins against Milwaukee. Man, I don't know if I can stomach putting any kind of money, serious money on the line with Cousins, because you never know how he's going to feel in his head that day, if he's going to get up for playing in Milwaukee. What did he have for dinner? I like Cousins. This is the kind of game that Cousins should go and just, we're going to win this game. I'm going to have 30 and 20. Who's guarding me? Zaza? Come on. So I like Cousins. I just don't know if he has matured to the point where he's going to come out and play like he should in this type of matchup. That's why I'm kind of going back to Dwight, because I know Dwight, I think he's played in Orlando twice, and he's had like 30 and 15 and 25 and 22, so I know his numbers are really solid. I don't think Vucevic can handle him, but I don't know what the word is with him playing tonight. Scott mentioned he may not. I do like Cousins, but again, there's an inherent risk with Cousins, and you have to always know that when you're taking him.
Yeah, and it's not like if you're taking Cousins tonight, you're not going to have a good feeling about it. It's like we do talk about, like, has the hate kind of gone too far with players? So, like, Anthony Davis had a dream matchup against the Lakers last night, and because of his, like, recent struggles, because of his ability to just royally screw you with foul trouble, like, people avoided him for the most part. Like, he wasn't a heavily owned player last night, even though he had the matchup. And if this was 2 months ago, everybody and their mom would be on Anthony Davis. Side note, Primetime 420 and CSU Ram 88 met Anthony Davis last night, and I guess he big-timed them. And it was funny because I think that Primetime had a few to drink, because he kept on tweeting the Anthony Davis that's the offensive tackle for the 49ers instead of the brow. Oh, man.
Were you both on Anthony Davis last night?
What's that?
Were you both on Anthony Davis last night?
I was, yeah.
Scott?
I only had him on FanDuel last night. I played Chris Paul, unfortunately, on DraftKings instead.
Yeah, I watched the end of that Sacramento game, and he's been banged up, obviously his shoulder, and then he banged knees pretty good with Cousins towards the end of that game. I know he stayed in, but I don't know why I had this feeling that he was just not going to play, and it was the last game on the slate, and I just had this feeling that Anthony Davis is going to sit out this game, and I, like an idiot, I didn't play him, but obviously he had a must-play matchup. I just, for some reason, I thought that he was a little banged up and they might sit him. So,
well, yeah, and like that might have been. There's like this delicate line to balance as far as like playing it safe or like not letting the hate go too far. I think that might be the case with DeMarcus Cousins tonight. I think you don't need to let your disdain for like Cousins screwing you over in the past cloud your judgment here. However, I will say that if it's between Kevin Love and like a lower salary player, or DeMarcus Cousins and maybe a lower to mid salary player, I'm going with the Love tonight. So this Kevin Love matchup against the Knicks is going to be a very nice one. Are you comfortable with paying up for him, Scott?
Yeah, I mean, you can almost always feel comfortable paying up for him. He's rarely below like 45 fantasy points. He obviously has 70-point upside. He's done that too in the last 3 games, getting up in the mid to high 60s. I mean, in the article today, I wrote about how Noah had triple-double basically in the first half on Sunday against the Knicks. And then Drummond had that monster double-double on Monday. They've been kind of tough against big guys throughout the season, but they've been playing that zone the last 2 games. I don't know if they're going to do that against the Timberwolves or not tonight. But, I mean, either way, you have to just feel really comfortable. Anytime you roster Love, he's the anti-DeMarcus Cousins where he almost never lets you down.
Yeah, you mentioned the thing about the zone in the chat on Monday. We talked about Drummond being a GPP play, but I had he was on Moses Malone watch, like in the third quarter. I mean, over 20-something rebounds.
I mean, they can't rebound out of that zone because all of their rebounding comes from Tyson Chandler. And when he's, like, matching up with different guys, like, floating outside and stuff, they were just leaving Drummond around the rim to dunk everything.
I will say that the fact that Rubio is in play may make them want to go zone even more, even though you got Kevin Martin. May make them want to go zone, but if they've been killed on the glass, then this is a game. Regardless if they go man or zone, though, I feel good about rostering Love tonight. Your thoughts, Dan? That is a concerned face right there. We're like playing...
Yeah, I mean, you got to always feel comfortable with Love. I know... Did I drop off?
I think you're back. We're playing dueling Wi-Fi, as Papa Cub says.
You got to feel comfortable with Love. I mean, for most of the year, he was a top fantasy performer until Durant obviously decided to go nuts for a good part of the season. I don't know who's going to try to guard Melo. They started big against Detroit. I wouldn't expect them to go. I'm sorry, against Love. I wouldn't expect them to start big again. So I would assume that leaves Melo. But I don't think Melo and Love will match up. So I don't think there's someone who can actually guard New York or on New York can guard Love well. I think he's going to go for around 50 tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll get word on as far as what they're going to do if they start stat for minimum salary. Are you comfortable with rostering a guy like him, Scott, against this Wolves team that, I mean, as good as Kevin Love is on the offensive end, just on the defensive end, he's not that great.
Yeah, I mentioned him today. Assuming he's starting still for minimum salary, he's a pretty solid play. You know he's going to go out and get his, 14 points if he's playing 30 minutes, probably grab 8 rebounds. And really that's what you're looking for. It's going to come down to him and Trevor Booker for me if he's starting tonight. It's going to be a tough decision again. I had to make that decision on Monday, and I played Tayshaun Prince instead. So it's not a decision that I enjoy.
Shelly86 says, anybody like Calderon tonight? No, I don't think you have to play. I don't think you have to play Jose tonight. He's one of those unnecessary risk, I think.
I would be willing to wager that Condia has him in his lineup.
You think so?
I mean, he plays him 50% of the time the Mavericks play.
Yeah, well,
he loves Jose. Him and Sean Marion.
He loves playing. I have noticed in the past 2 weeks he's loved playing Calderon on Draft Street.
Yeah, he plays him on FanDuel all the time too.
Oh, that Condia. Another point I want to bring up is Dave Loughran in today's Insiders article. I mean, DeMarcus Cousins is the poster boy, so I got to give him that. He's hanging his hat on DeMarcus Cousins, but he's talking about Jeff Adrian as a guy that you might want to roster tonight. I just don't know if I can get behind this. He is on draft day 5450, DraftKings 3600, Draft Street 6700. Oh, but he mentions
have double-digit rebounds 4 games in a row.
I know,
it just seems like one of those cases where I just want to take the starter and go with Stoudemire or Booker, though.
Yeah. Adrian's the guy that I got sucked into when he was with Charlotte. I mean, he's like a hustle guy. And doesn't have dreads, but he does have like the little mohawk, the little faux hawk, which means
that makes you a hustle guy too.
Well, it's like kind of hustle, yeah. It means you're not scared of anything. I used to have one. Trust me, I know. But yeah, Al says that he has been rebounding like a fiend. Yeah, I mean, and the fact is, on most places, he's near minimum salary, and all he has to do is get another double-digit rebound game to pay that off. But yeah, for me, it'd be Booker over Adrian. But I just want to get your guys' take on it because it's something that stuck out to us in the Insiders article today. Dan, any thoughts on this, or you just want to pass?
But I mean, I think he's averaging like 20 minutes over the last 5 games or so. And if I mean, I'd rather take a starter. Obviously, if there's some news that would prohibit Booker from playing again 30 minutes, I'd roll. And if Mari's is starting, I'd roll both of them ahead of Adrian for sure.
All right. He also mentions LaMarcus Aldridge, who burned both me and you, Scott. Against the Hawks tonight, is LaMarcus in play for where his price tag is?
It depends on the site, I think. Like FanDuel, I think he's still close to 10K. I can't really imagine rostering him there after Monday.
No.
I'm trying to think of where he has a good price at. I haven't seen his draft street price today. He's okay priced on draft day, I know. He's okay on DraftKings. I mean, it's just like if he's only going to play 30, 32 minutes, it's really tough to pay that premium price for him.
Looking.
Have we seen a line on that game yet? I haven't seen it come out yet.
8.5, and the game is the second highest over under. Lopez is grabbing a lot of Aldridge's rebounds too, which is making me mad. On Monday, Rolo has been just a man on fire.
Would you say he's been rolling?
Scott, you, oh man. Oh, yes. But Millsap not going to be playing tonight. So you've got the question of this high over-under and what you're going to do with the Atlanta bigs. Thoughts on this, Dan? Mike Scott, is he in play for you tonight?
Mike Scott?
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought you were asking the Scott. Yeah, I mean, the spread's 8, so you got to think someone's going to be scoring for Atlanta, and they got to produce on the interior a little bit. Portland has not been that great at guarding the interior. I think Scott's a solid play. What's his price on FanDuel here?
He's a little pricey on FanDuel. He's better 54. Almost everywhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah, his tag across the industry away from FanDuel is a lot better than actually on FanDuel, I think.
Yeah. That's the one place he's like not in a really good spot. Like 5,400. Yeah. I mean, I can almost guarantee he'll get me more points than Markieff Morris did for 6K last night, though.
I had Markieff -2, Parker 0 or 2 at halftime, so that was a nice full game at 0 between both of them. But yeah, Mike Scott. I mean, FanDuel, I think you can go other ways. And with back to Lopez, I mean, one of the concerns I had when I did play him against the Lakers is if they're going to be running small, which they had Wesley Johnson at the 4, is Lopez cut out? And obviously Atlanta by default has to go small whether they like it or not. So I think that eliminates a lot of the concern for Lopez tonight. They're going to run him out there 30 minutes, and I mean he's been on a tear. So you got to like Lopez. I'm not sure at least on FanDuel, I wouldn't be considering Scott given the other plays that I like better for cheaper or for more that I'm targeting tonight.
Yes, and Scott on efficiency sites would scare me a little bit, just because he's capable of missing 10 or 11 shots. Brand's price has been creeping up, so we'll see. Well, I don't think I'm going to have any Elton Brand. Condi is a big Elton Brand fan too. He's been playing him a lot the last 2 weeks, since Millsap went down. Auto Crush wants to know about Damari Carroll.
I don't have any problem with him. I think he's he's Damari Carroll. That's the way I look. I mean, he's like, you're going to get somewhere between like 25 and 35 fantasy points most of the time from him when he's playing this many minutes. So as long as Millsap's out, he kind of stays. I would look at his last 4 games and kind of go from there. Basically, he's in the same spot.
I mean, that's the thing is that you've got Damari playing close to 40 minutes in one of the high-scoring games. Like, you just hope that he stuffs the stat sheet, and that he gets all those intangibles other than just scoring. I mean, yeah, it's nice if he hits a few shots, but you want him to get some steals and some blocks and some rebounds. And in 38 minutes against this team, I think he can. On the other end, Batum has been rebounding at an extremely high clip. We're talking about like more than 14 boards the past 2 games.
Yeah, that's probably what hurt Aldridge's boards the most last game.
It's true. Yeah, it just seems like I just don't know if I can get behind LaMarcus Aldridge tonight.
Yeah, it's tough. Batum's got a really nice price on FanDuel still. He's like really creeping up everywhere else.
Yeah, and
are you targeting Batum tonight?
The only place I'm really looking at Batum is on FanDuel.
Same.
Because of just the no multi-position eligibility. Ty Lawson against Dallas certainly was in play, or certainly had a great game. Like, the dad life in me, I was going to give my daughter a bath, and he was like around the 25 or 26 point mark. I came back, and like he was at 50, and I was like, what in the world just happened? Like, just kind of exploded there in the second half. Going up against this Dallas team, he has another chance to shine in a high-scoring game. Thoughts on Lawson, and I want to get your thoughts on the big man situation with Fareed, Hickson, and Mozgov. And Chant. Let's just talk about the Nuggets real quick, shall we? Scott, you go first.
I like Ty Lawson. I mean, I like him. There's just a lot of point guard options tonight. Point guard's like a price play for me on almost every site tonight. There's like 5 or 6 guys that I'm just like trying to find the cheapest ones and going from there. I don't have like outside of John Wall, who's my top one, and he's obviously the highest price everywhere. I'm gonna have a different point guard probably on every site, so it'll be a nice diverse day for me. The rest of the Nuggets, it's really hard to like anyone a ton. Now that they're back to like full strength, I mean, the guy that I would probably be the most interested in is Fareed, just because he's at home and he tends to play a little bit better at home, and he's got a cheaper price than Hickson. I don't think you can trust Mozgov at all at this point. He's playing less minutes in the starting lineup than he was coming off the bench, so that move hasn't helped him at all.
All right, Dan, you're the Nuggets fan. I'm looking like at some of the sites. You've got DraftKings, where Lawson is like near a must play at 7,200, but then you have a site like Draft Street, where these other players, Chandler, Fareed, and maybe even Hickson, are in play. I mean, all 3 of those salaries are really low there on Draft Street tonight. And then you've got FanDuel. Your thoughts on this Nuggets team tonight?
I think Lawson's definitely in play. I mean, I was on the side of the table where, I mean, he came back from a fractured rib, and you had to think he was going to be rusty for not running and playing for 3 weeks. And I think he had a career high in points in the second half there. He just exploded. And I guess Brian Shaw just didn't want to give in there in the fourth quarter. So they're down 12 with like 2 minutes. In that last 2 minutes, he racked up like an additional 15 fantasy points. I like Lawson tonight. I think this is a nationally televised game, which usually has a quicker pace with more possessions, more rested players, so more fantasy stats. I don't think there's going to be a lot of defense played, like with Dallas and Denver. At the same time, I do like Farid. I think he's at home, like Scott mentioned. If I remember correctly, Farid, I think he had 2 double-doubles in back-to-back games against Dallas before. So they're going to be shooting a lot. He's going to be fired up. I think for his price tag, he could perform well. And then, again, with Hickson and Mozgov, that situation, I typically would just avoid that. Obviously, if there's something that happens, some news that opens up some more time or guarantee between those two or Farid too, then got to like them a little bit more. And then there's Wilson. It's tough to trust Wilson. I know he just came off a big game. He can perform well for his price, but I'm kind of looking at Marion at the same price on FanDuel, for example, as opposed to Chandler. But I don't know exactly which way I'm going, but I'd be looking on the other side of the ball probably instead of Chandler.
Batum and Wilson Chandler tonight are a sexy combo there on FanDuel. Also, Andre Drummond, only 7,700 going up against the Bulls tonight. I mean, you just look at what he's done. Thoughts about Drummond against your Bulls squad, Scott?
I mean, I just don't generally take big men against the Bulls, or they just play so slow. It's not even so much that, like, I don't think he can do anything against them. It's just how slow the game is, and his minutes have been a little bit more up and down lately with the new coach, like, actually using Greg Monroe as a basketball player and stuff like that. I don't dislike him. That's a really good price on FanDuel, like you mentioned. I wouldn't expect anything near what he did the other day against the Knicks. Obviously, I think he's gonna get a double-double. I mean, I can't say that Drummond's gonna have a bad game. He's gonna probably have like 11 and 13 or something with 2 blocks. So, I mean, he'll be there. I just don't. He's not a guy I'm gonna target.
All right. So a few questions: Zebo or Batum on an efficiency site that is Draft Street. Also, a question about Al Jeff on Draft Street, playable against Indy. Zebo obviously had a kind of a down game. You look at his matchup.
Yeah, what is Brooklyn going to do tonight? I mean,
it's such an ugly game, but it's only a 1-point spread. I mean, I'm just trying to look at. I think Zebo certainly is in play, but this is.
I mean, you got Paul Pierce guarding Zebo right now.
You're going to have a low-scoring game, and
I mean, you got Mason Plumlee guarding Marc Gasol too. So.
Yeah, those are the 2 bigs that, I mean, when I just looked at that game, you think that's the kind of game that Zebo and Gasol would dominate, right? They're not going to be guys running up and down the court in a huge over-under game, but low-scoring games, close spread, missed shots, ugly game.
Hammering the ball into the post is what they're going to be doing. Can guarantee it. They're going to be running all sorts of high-low sets and post ISO post moves, post sets for both of these guys. So yeah, I guess I would go with Zebo over Batum, just because on an efficiency site, like Batum is like, even though I like him on FanDuel, he is capable of throwing up. Someone said in the chat, I forgot who. Someone said he's capable of throwing up at 15, and it's absolutely true. Like, yes, he is capable of that. He has been on a tear lately, but for their floors, like playing it safe, I think I'd rather go with Zebo tonight. Amari, if starting, or Booker, Scott?
I like Amari if he's starting slightly more. I don't know. I don't think Booker's all that good. I'm a little worried about him playing small. He'll get you his like 18 to 20 fantasy points pretty much no matter what, I think. I just don't think there's a whole lot of upside there either.
All right, let's do the lightning round now, where, Dan, I'm going to ask some questions, and I'll point it towards one or both of you guys. You can only answer but your reasoning has to be 3 words or less. 3 words or less, so you can't go on long tangents. Fareed or Butler, Scott?
Butler minutes.
Nice. Any love for Vinsanity, Dan?
Yes. High over under.
Nice. Will Noah bounce back, Scott?
Yeah, Pistons.
That's a good reason, because Pistons. Is Mason going to even play? I think that was talking about our Zebo comment. Yeah, I don't know if he's going to play or not. I think he'll get some minutes. Amari if starting or Booker, Dan?
Booker minutes.
Thoughts about Kevin Martin against the Knicks, Scott?
Like him, Knicks.
Who is the better bet tonight, Dan Shumpert or Gary Neal?
Gary Neal starting.
Fareed or Blatch, Scott?
Fareed, not Blatch.
Thoughts on Terrence Jones on FanDuel? I'll take this one and just say unnecessary risk. Let's see. Any Rondo love? Scott, I'll let you take this one because I know you've been researching it.
Yes. I have no way to answer this in 2 words, though. Or 3 words.
You should have said question mark. Go ahead and give your thoughts on Rondo. I mean, a big part of it is the whole Iggy equation, correct?
Yeah. People are saying they think he might sit tonight. I'd be kind of surprised with how few shots he's saying that he would sit with like a finger injury. But even with Iggy on him, I don't mind Rondo that much. With his 3-point shot opening up his game a little bit, he's just been playing really well. I think he's got 10 assists in 4 straight games. He's just a really solid play for his price everywhere. He just, like, if you look at his price and kind of project him out for like 15 points and 10 assists and like 4 rebounds, he just makes value on almost every site for his price. That's really why I like him today. If they do put Iggy on him, though, you really have to like Bayless because that's who they're going to hide Curry on. He can actually score.
Bayless and Zebo or Lawson and Booker, Dan?
One more time?
Bayless and Zebo or Lawson, Booker?
I go Lawson Booker.
Agreed. Foles asked an inappropriate question about my mother. We'll skip that one. Marion or Chandler tonight, Scott?
I agree with Dan. I think I like Marion a little bit better against the Nuggets than Chandler against Marion.
I'm on the opposite side of that equation, but both are decent matchups. Harkless or Brewer? This one's kind of a gross question. Dan, I'll let you take it.
Brewer. I don't think Harkless will start. I don't think he's going to get big minutes anymore.
Yeah, with Aflalo back, I'd certainly say Brewer gets the edge in that question. Safer center play, Gortat or Robin Lopez? Scott.
I actually think Gortat's a little safer, but for the ridiculously low prices Lopez has everywhere, I think he's got to be the play.
All right. Well, that was way over 3 words, so you're disqualified. Brand or Scott, Dan?
What?
Brand or Scott?
Brand.
Agreed. Hayward or Bill? I'll go Bill. And that will do it. Good job. Good job in the lightning round. Except for Scott, really. But excellent job. If you have any more questions, feel free to ask them in the chat. We have about 7 more minutes. So real quick, let's get through this rapid fire. Scott can't answer because he's the one that came up with the question. So Melo or Cousins, Dan?
I'll go Cousins.
I'll go Cousins as well. Lawson or Noah?
Lawson.
Ew, Yeah, I'll go Lawson, but this one's a gross one. Damian Lillard or Rondo?
See, I'll go Rondo.
I'll go Lillard. The fact that I just don't know about Rondo. I think Lillard has a decent game against Teague. Lance Stevenson or Dirk?
I'll go Dirk.
Stevenson versus Dirk. Boy, I guess I'll choose the high scoring game in this one. Stevenson's going to do work against Gary Neal tonight. Speaking of Gary Neal or Chris Middleton?
Middleton.
Yeah, I'll go Middleton as well. But it's a booby trap. Foles wants me to explain my Beal love. Really, I mean, the fact is there's not a ton of shooting guard options tonight. I think Beal has a solid matchup. And for where his price tag is, he is capable of scoring in the 30s as far as fantasy points go. So for what he's capable of and the lack of options, that I guess would explain my love for Beal. But I really don't have that much love for him. I think he could be a sexy play, and I'm not ruling out him being in my cash games lineups. In fact, probably on FanDuel he will be in my cash game lineups unless something changes, especially with like if Dwight Howard doesn't play or something like that. No gay love tonight. I mean, his price is just so high, but it's certainly an interesting question. Scott?
Yeah, I mean, price is really the only thing. Like, if he was like $1,000 cheaper on like basically every site, I would like him a lot more. I just don't want to pay for what you were getting 3, 4, 5 games ago, and that's what you're doing right now. And I mean, he pretty much disappeared last game. I don't think you can justify 8K for him right now.
Yeah, his price tag at that would be different if Cousins was not playing tonight. Also, someone asked earlier about the technical issue with Cousins. If he does get a technical, he's not going to be thrown out of the game. It's going to be the next game that he will miss. So
if he gets a technical, there's like a 90% chance he's getting a second technical.
No, that's not true. Your math doesn't work out because then that means he would have like been ejected out of 7 games this season.
I know,
but it is like what he had for breakfast. That comment from Dan this morning or today about what he had for breakfast this morning is definitely something that like you want to know. Like, is he having a good day or not? You like check his Twitter timeline.
Yeah.
Like,
is he tweeting like, happy birthday to his mom if it's his mom's birthday? Like, what's going on in his life? Is he having a good day? Is he smiling?
Are there any subtweets? I mean, those
Condy has
things...
got a guy in his payroll that just follows Cousins around so he knows when to play him. Steals Jermaine O'Neal's passport, all of it.
Jones, Chandler, or Booker and Batum? I think you'd have to go with Booker and Batum. Jones is just I get Terrence Jones being an option tonight against this Magic front court. I just think that he's like an unnecessary risk. Like we've seen games where he comes off 40-point games into like single-digit games.
They can decide to go small with Chandler Parsons at power forward like anytime they want. It's just so scary.
Like his minutes are not a lock, so that's why I think that he's not worth the risk. So I would go Booker and Batum. Also, if you're just now tuning in, Scott did mention a theory about Martell Webster playing, how it could take away possibly from Booker tonight if they decide to go small. Something to keep in mind. Let's see. Missed earlier thoughts on Teague, ? We haven't really talked about Teague tonight. Going up against Lillard, coming off a huge game, but in a pretty ridiculous matchup. Your thought on Teague tonight, Dan?
I like Teague a lot. I think his price creeped up about 1,000, but I think he's primary offensive option. A lot of pick and roll, high pick and roll, where he's best in open court. attacking the basket, dishing. There's going to be Scott's going to be taking jump shots. I like him tonight against Lillard.
What about you, Scott?
Yeah, I'm the same way. That pick and roll last game was looking almost Goran Dragic, Channing Frye-esque. And that's, I mean, a good thing, even though no one respects Channing Frye. But, I mean, his price is really low. He's playing the Blazers. The usage rate's been insane with Paul Millsap out. He's just a really solid play.
Yeah, you look at his past 4 games, 52 points, 33, 37, 39. Like, he has, his last 4 games, he has just tore it up. And tonight presents a decent matchup. And his price isn't as high as some of those elite point guards. We're talking about positional value, and Scott, you're saying you might have different point guards across the different sites, which is understandable. Might be a case where T kind of fits in. We'll say that last night, the last piece of my wonderful Draft Street team was Tony Parker. And it was different than because on FanDuel, Parker was owned 40%, 35 to 40%. So it was different. If you had Parker, you still had a shot. Not on Draft Street when he was 1 out of 10 teams owned him, and that one was me. So
disaster.
Oh, it was terrible. It was so freaking terrible. But hopefully point guard situation goes a little bit better for us tonight. Foles, the guy that basically asked who was hotter, my mom or Kate Upton, wants to know a status on James Johnson.
He practiced yesterday. I'm assuming he's going to play.
Yeah.
My Tayshaun Prince train is over.
Did you really play Tayshaun?
Yeah, I played him in Swagdome. I played him on almost every DraftKings team on Monday.
Really?
Yeah. I turned everything off after lineups locked because I was so terrified that I played him, and I came back at halftime and he had 23 fantasy points at halftime.
Yeah. That was a really good play by you, Scott. That was a really good job. It's time for us to call it a show. Special thanks to Dan Wahoo for filling in for Drew Dinkmeyer. You can catch him on Twitter at Dan Wahoo, and our buddy Scott at sports_25 to life. Catch his article there on Draft Day. Go to the strategy section. It's the day before tomorrow, and it's an article that you don't want to miss at all. Guys, appreciate you being on the show. Join us on Friday. We'll be back on. Also, Swagdome stuff. Check out the Fantasy Insiders webpage. I don't even know what I was going to say there. For the Swagdome link and a pretty sexy video. We paid a lot for it. It's a little bit out of our budget, but we did it. And I'll just go ahead and say you're welcome. All right, guys. Thanks for being on the show, and we'll catch you later.
Thanks, guys.
Different.